A painting of a city skyline is the subject of this episode, and in very faint silver print I can see that this is the city of Toronto in Canada. Of course, this is a Canadian stamp, and also in a very light print are the dates 1793 and 1993. At the very bottom of the stamp, we can see that this was worth 43 Canadian dollar cents. The year that this stamp was issued was back in 1993, and there's no postmark or cancellation because this stamp is in mint condition and was never used. I'm going to let this stamp take us to the early days of Canada, or the province of Canada, which was a British colony from 1841 to 1867. Before that, there were the colonies of Upper Canada and Lower Canada, and they merged in the Act of Union in 1840. Now, we should all be familiar with the year 1840, because that's the year of the penny black, the very first adhesive postage stamp to have ever been issued in Great Britain. Well, just 11 years later, the province of Canada issues its very first postage stamp, known as the 3-pence beaver. And I actually have one, but it has an obliterator. Yep, thanks Canada, my 3-pence beaver has been obliterated. But let's take a closer look, and with a little bit of technology we can clean this up. Ah, that's better. The stamp depicts a beaver with an oval frame, and it is considered to be Canada's very first stamp. It was issued in 3, 6 and 12 pence denominations, and also has Queen Victoria's monogram, which I think we discussed in the second episode of the season. Oh, and check this out. I noticed that there is a smiley face sun in the distance. I'm guessing Canada was using emojis back in 1851. So why the beaver? Well, it was a very important animal for Canada at the time, as its fur was being used to make hats that were extremely popular in Europe. As a result of that, the beaver was facing extinction by the mid-19th century and was almost wiped out. Thankfully though, the Europeans took a liking to silk around that time, and as a result, the demand for beaver pelts all but disappeared. But the importance of the beaver was well known and depicted on Canada's very first stamp, also symbolizing a young nation occupied with building its future in a land that was very much undeveloped. This also therefore makes this the very first British Empire stamp to not feature the monarch's head, as well as the first stamp to depict an animal, and the first stamp to have an emoji on it. Back to Toronto. The stamp that we pulled has the dates 1793 and 1993, which is celebrating the 200th anniversary of the establishment of Toronto, which was established as the City of York back in 1793. I also found this stamp, which has the dates 1867 and 1967. A set of different dates as the city was renamed to Toronto in 1834 and then became the capital of Ontario in 1867. But now going back to the first stamp that we pulled from the box, what intrigues me about it is I also found this set of stamps from Hungary, in which one of them is showing Toronto's skyline. Now this was issued back in 1987, celebrating the CAPEX event that was happening at that time, which is the Canadian Philatelic Exhibition. But what's interesting is that the imagery is very similar to our stamp, both showing the CN Tower, which used to be the tallest freestanding structure in the world for 32 years until 2007, but both stamps are portraying the Toronto skyline from the same point of view. It's from a marina, as we can see with the boats, and the same lineup of buildings. So I wonder if I can go and find this exact location where the picture was taken from. Now, Toronto is on Lake Ontario, and you can see on this map that there are these islands, these Toronto Islands, which are accessible via ferry. And these islands have a marina on them with a view of Toronto. So I'm guessing that that's where this picture was taken from. I'm going to go check out Toronto and see if I can find that view. Toronto was great, but I clearly couldn't find the exact view. Either the artist took some creative liberties in developing the skyline, or I just couldn't find the right angle by the marina. I doubt that it was because there was a 20 and 30 year difference in skylines, because the key buildings there just couldn't line up. But hey, I got to check out Toronto. Thanks for watching everyone, and hit that like button on the video if you enjoyed it. See you next time.